Yo, what's up guys, Goblin here, welcome to this new episode. In today's video, I'm gonna show you guys the best of 3, which allowed me to finish top 13 in the world and also qualify at the same time in this weekend CRL. So I'm not sure if you guys are known with the format, but basically the first day is a 1000 player round robin, where everyone has to play 10 rounds, and then after those 10 rounds, the top 32 advances to the second stage, which is another day, like day 2. So as you guys can see here, I finished top 13, going 8-2. Which I was actually really happy about, because at one moment I was 3-2. I think after round 5 I already had 2 losses. So then I had to win 5 best of 3s in a row, which I ended up doing. So that was really, clutch. I was really happy about it. And then the second day I also was pretty happy about my performance. Unfortunately it was not enough, but still going 4-2 in a really stacked group, in my opinion, is pretty decent. My group had Pedro in it, my group had Titan, and also Blue, a Japanese bridge pen player. So as you guys can see here, I end up losing against Titan, I end up beating Blue, I end up beating Pedro. Titan actually ended up first in the group, so congratulations to him. And then here, that was the moment I was talking about. I lost against Venom, and that was round number 5. So I already had 2 losses after 5 rounds. And then here, I ended up winning 5 best of 3s in a row, clutching up, to be able to qualify. So I beat Ace, I beat Codigo, Droid, Coco, and then the best of 3s I want to show you guys in today's video is against Adriel. Adriel, in my opinion, is easily top 10 players in the world right now. He's an insanely good player, and of course the pressure was kind of high. Like, I'm not gonna lie, going 7-2 in these type of tournaments is pretty good, but of course the pressure is really high, because you know that if you win you qualify, and if you lose you're most likely out. So he goes with Ice Spirit at the bridge, and after seeing Ice Spirit, I basically know that it's gonna be a Psycho deck, so I go with Royal Giant at the bridge. No, excuse me, Royal Giant in the back. Knowing that later on maybe we can cycle like an Evo Royal Giant already. So I go with E-Spirit to distract the Mortar a little bit, also to be able to cycle to my Monk, and then here I kind of make a big mistake. Like, I pop the ability, which is of course good, because we can reflect on top of the tower, we can reflect the Queen, and then we also reflect a little bit on top of the Mortar. But I also go with a Barbell, and the Barbell was, in my opinion, an overcommitment, just because, it doesn't kill the guards. He had a Valkyrie there, the Queen still has like some HP, so the guards, in my opinion, are really annoying for Royal Giant, because the Barbell doesn't kill it. So we always need to have like a Barbell plus E-Spirit ready, or maybe Barbell plus like an Evolution Royal Giant hit to be able to kill it. So still a pretty good defense though. He does an insanely good play here. Watch what he does. He goes with Hawk Rider at the bridge. Then he of course knows that we have a Fisherman in this deck, because any like Royal Giant deck has a Fisherman. Goes with a Prediction Snowball, allowing his Hawk Rider to get 3 shots on the tower. So that was a really good play. And then we have the Fisherman. Maybe I could have taken more advantage of the Fisherman going like Royal Giant at the bridge, but I think in these type of matchups it's better to like build a big push from behind, especially when we have Monk. This was kind of a big mistake though, and you guys might think, what is a big mistake? Like, I don't see any mistake maybe, but I think our main mistake here in the beginning of this match was going opposite lane. Like, whenever you for example have a Royal Giant deck which cycles like quicker, with for example like a Psycho deck with Ghost, with for example Lumberjack, I think going opposite lane in these type of matchups is pretty good. But whenever you have like a heavier Royal Giant deck, even though this Monk deck still cycles pretty quick since we have Goblins plus E-Spirit, I think it's 100% better to go into the same lane. So that's also what we're gonna do now. I end up deciding to switch lanes, even though we already have some more damage onto his left side tower. Right as I cycle the Monk, he goes with an Evolution Mortar at the bridge, so here we're kind of forced to go with a Royal Giant. Like, there's nothing we can do to prevent the Mortar besides going Royal Giant. I could have maybe distracted it like a Royal Giant opposite lane, but I think it's better to just sacrifice the Royal Giant, make sure we defend the Mortar, and then here we go with a nice Monk ability plus Barbell plus Phoenix to clean up the Valkyrie plus Queen. He cycles another Earthquake, so here I go with Royal Giant. I go with Goblins, knowing that he doesn't have lock, but I kind of forgot about the Valkyrie, so the Valkyrie does end up getting more value. Really nice Barrel prediction on top of the guards. As you guys can see, E-Spirit to clean up those guards, plus killing the Mortar. So Royal Giant ends up getting onto the tower. He spent a lot of elixir, so here we're up quite a lot of elixir, and I decide to go from the back again. I think in this type of matchup, really important, unless you maybe have like a big elixir advantage. I think later on there is a moment where I pressure the bridge. So here I go with a Royal Giant in the back, I go with a Monk in front of it, and then here I think I just pop the ability plus a Fireball. Yeah, I go with ability, making sure that the Queen plus the tower gets reflected. Doesn't look like it, but the Monk actually gets quite a lot of damage on top of the tower as well. Like, the ability I think does almost 100 damage, so every time you have the opportunity to go with a Monk ability, I think it's very important. So here I go with a Fisherman, on top of the queen. He did a really good job at defending this. But I decided to go, yeah, at the bridge. I thought that would be a good moment. We still have the fisherman. Unfortunately for us, his queen is not in range of the tower, so the queen still got a lot of damage on top of our royal giant. And here I was like, okay, it was a good defense, but he still spent a lot of elixir. I was like, okay, there's no way his cycle's good right now. Queen is out of cycle. He spent a lot of elixir, so I decided to go with a monk plus phoenix at the bridge. Royal giant as soon as I can. I pop the ability just to make sure we get some more chip damage on top of the tower. And of course, it also buys more time for our royal giant to get on top of the tower. So yeah, he doesn't have enough elixir. For the mortar, he goes with the guards. We do need to watch out here. I was like, okay, wow, he has 2 Valkyries on the field. He has guards, he has a queen, he goes with Hawk Rider. But an insanely good fireball. Ends up killing basically everything. Hawk Rider doesn't even get a shot onto the tower. So here we can keep up the pressure. I was like, okay, there's not that much time left. I think we're in a good situation to keep up the pressure since we had so many troops on the field. I thought it would be a good decision to go with the royal giant at the bridge. As you guys can see, he goes with a mortar. Queen is getting a lot of value even though we do have monk. It's still kind of hard to kill her in this type of matchup. So yeah, the royal giant doesn't get anywhere. We go with monk at the bridge trying to block everything. He does a really good job. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he went with Hawk Rider in the middle. So the Hawk Rider jumps. The fisherman retargets onto the Valkyrie. Valkyrie gets pulled. Hawk Rider ends up getting a shot on the tower. But anyways, we still have a good damage lead. So I go with Fireball. I go with Barbell plus E-Spirit. Trying to cycle. E-Spirit actually connects to the tower. Anyways, we're winning by quite a lot of damage. So yeah, the Fireball doesn't hit the tower. But still really good game. He actually played this insanely well. Like, in my opinion, we have a pretty good matchup. I mean, Royal Giant plus Monk against these type of decks should be a pretty easy win, but it was still really, really close. So yeah, props to Adriel, as I said in the beginning of the video. In my opinion, easily one of the best players in the world right now. Insanely, insanely good player with Hawk Rider decks. So, hopping into the second match, we actually decided to go with a Hawk Rider deck ourselves. In this case, it doesn't end up turning out that well because he actually decided to go with a Splash Yard deck. And of course, you guys know Splash Yard runs Tornado, and Tornado is really good against Hawk Rider. I mean, unless he makes a big mistake, I think these type of matchups are kind of hard. I already made a big mistake here in the beginning, but, because I went with Knight in the back, and then he cycles his Queen. No, excuse me, he cycles his Baby Dragon plus Ice Wizard on top of the Queen. On top of the Knight, and then I went with Queen in the opposite lane. I can't even speak right now. Then I go with a Bomb Tower to try to defend. Bomb Tower is kind of nice. In this type of matchup, Bomb Tower gets a lot of value because often it can tank for the Baby Dragon even though it doesn't attack air. And then here I go with a Hawk Rider just to make sure the Baby Dragon doesn't get a shot on top of the tower. The bad thing is that I give him the activation, but I feel like in these type of matchups, anyways, at almost any moment in the game, he's gonna get the activation. So it doesn't really matter. I think it's even good to go with Hawk Rider early on because this way you can get a lot of damage on top of the King Tower as well. It doesn't seem like it, but I've seen a lot of players get a lot of damage on King Tower against like NATO decks and sometimes even win by damage on the King Tower. So I go with a Lock here to cycle to damage a little bit on top of the Ice Wizard. I go with the Ice Spirit just to make sure the Barbell doesn't get on top of the tower. And then I cycle Queen in the back again, making sure, yeah, we just like cycle, make sure we keep up the pressure. And then he goes with a Poison. So here I'm already one card away from the Knight. I was like, okay, maybe I can do some pressure with a Knight later on. I go with Hawk plus Guards, knowing that the Barbell is out of cycle. I go with ability to try to kill the Baby Dragon. As you guys can see, he goes with a Barbell. I think that he thought that the Hawk Rider would have tanked a little bit longer, and then the Queen maybe could have locked onto the tower. And then here I went with a Knight. I maybe should have gone with the Knight at the bridge, because I kind of waited too long. And then right now, as you guys can see, he already got more elixir, and then he already has enough elixir to pull the Hawk Rider to the King Tower. Maybe I should have gone Knight at the bridge, Hawk Rider at the bridge. Here I thought like, okay, he shouldn't have that much elixir because he spent Ice Wizard, he spent NATO, he spent Tombstone. But unfortunately for us, he already cycled the Evolution Knight, and it's insanely good against Queen. Like, it's insanely good against troops like Queen, Musketeer, even air cards like Minions, Skeleton Dragons. Like, whenever he's like in his shield, like whenever he's not attacking, it does no damage at all. Like, it's insanely good against those type of troops. So we did a pretty good job at defending. In my opinion, that defense was pretty clean. We don't even take too much damage. I go with a Queen here up high, cycling into his Ice Wizard plus Baby Dragon. Here I tried to go with a Hawk Rider just to make sure, yeah, he has to spend some type of elixir. He does a good job at going with Tombstone, but the good thing for us is that Tombstone is not enough. So the Hawk Rider does end up getting one shot onto the left side tower, which is pretty nice. I mean, Hawk Rider does a lot of damage, so that's kind of good for us, I guess. I go with the Ice Spirit on the left side. He goes with a Barbell to make sure that the Ice Spirit doesn't jump onto the tower. And then he goes with a nice NATO backwards. Why he goes backwards? just to make sure that the Hawk Rider doesn't get more damage onto the King Tower, because as I said, sometimes in these type of matchups, the Hawk Rider player gets a lot of damage onto the King Tower, and sometimes even has more damage on the King Tower than like the Crown Towers. So he goes with a Poison, I go with Ability just to make sure that it doesn't get too much damage. I go with the Ice Spirit at the bridge, and then I pressure a little bit on the right side. I think the pressure is decent, but the bad thing here is that the Baby Dragon plus Ice Wizard, yeah, get a lot of value. Like, I don't really have anything against those type of troops besides the Queen. So I go with Ability, he goes with the Evolution Knight at the bridge. As you guys can see, the Queen is locked onto the Evolution Knight. He goes with a Baby Dragon. I go with a lock, and here it's basically GG. I mean, the Evolution Knight is tanking. I go with a Bomb Tower. I think here my mistake was going Earthquake right away, which left me with no Elixir. Maybe I should have gone with Knight first and then afterwards an Earthquake, but I think anyways it would have been a good game. I guess it doesn't really matter because as you guys can see, he still has a lot of troops. Baby Dragon with full HP locked onto the tower, and I ended up losing the second game. So here I was like, okay, he spent Hawk Rider, so I don't think he's gonna have like a Psycho deck with lock. He spent NATO plus Poison, so he can't have like minor control. He can't have the Remieli deck, so I was like, okay, maybe if he has lock, it's gonna be in like a Royal Giant deck. So here, I kinda like risked it going with Lockbait, because of course he has lock open, and usually when your opponent has lock open in a duel, you don't really want to play these type of Lockbait decks. But anyways, this deck is really solid, and as you guys might know, I love Lockbait. Like in my opinion, Lockbait is one of my strongest decks. So I actually end up getting an interesting matchup. He ends up playing Barbarians Hoggies with Arrows plus Fireball, which in my opinion, I'm not sure like what to say about this matchup. If you guys see this matchup, I think it looks like a pretty decent matchup for Bait, but then in other matchups, I've lost this, this exact same matchup, like I've lost it before, so I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Anyways, let's see what happens. So I go with Bandit, I go with Wall Breaker Split. He has Cage as well, which is pretty good against those type of troops, because as you guys can see, the Wall Breakers do end up connecting to it, do end up dealing a lot of damage to the Brawler as well, but we can't really get any chip damage. And usually with these type of Bait decks, you want to try to get your damage in single Elixir, because there's where you can like maybe outcycle them, maybe you can pressure with like Evolve Barbs, and then in this case he actually goes with his Evolution Barbs in the back, so he decides to go with it, split 3 towards the left side. We do the exact same thing, but we'll wait a little bit just to make sure like our towers is able to help as well. So I go with a Gang on the right side, I go with Dart Goblin on top of the Flying Machine, I go with a Goblin Bear on the right side. So I already tried to pressure a lot. As you guys can see, I also go with my Wall Breakers on the left side, but he has a lot of answers. Like, in my opinion, he has quite a lot of decent counters against our deck, because he has the Barbarians, which are annoying since we don't have a big spell. Our only spell is Arrows. He has Cage, he has Fireball, Flying Machine we can't really kill because we don't have a big spell. So here I was like, okay, it's not gonna be easy, but I think if I do a good job at like spreading out my troops, making sure that we pressure well with like Goblin Barrels, with like Wall Breakers, forcing out maybe some arrows like defensively, we should be fine. So we both go with Barbarians in the back. In this case, we already had used the Barbarians Evolution, so both of us, we'll use the normal Barbarians. I'm sorry for the capture card, by the way. Hopefully it's... Okay, there you go, it's back. Apologies for that. So I go with a Goblin Bear on the left side, get a little bit of chip damage, go with a Rascals up high to tank and try to kill the Barbarians. And here I was like, okay, we need to watch out because he has a Flying Machine, he has Barbarians, but then we have a really good Arrows there, getting a lot of value. We go with a Gang on the left side, just to make sure we distract and try to kill those Barbarians, and then we cycle back to our own Barbarians. So really, really good defense there. In the meantime, I'm not sure what got damage on the right side, but something got a little bit of chip damage on the right side, and then here we outcycle the arrows, forcing out Zeppies, but unfortunately the Flying Machine kills the Goblin, so we don't get any damage. Goblin Gang here to kill the Flying Machine, Bandit on the right side to cycle and try to kill those Zeppies, and then here I think we just go, we just go with our own Barbarians. So far the match, it's kind of close. Like, we got a little bit of chip damage here and there, maybe with some Goblins. I'm not sure if like a Dart Goblin or something connected. But then here he goes with Piggy. So I go with Rascals, I go with Arrows defensively, I go with a Gang again, and I think Arrows in this matchup actually saved me a lot. I don't know how, but they end up doing so much damage on troops like, for example, Barbarians, on troops like Zeppies, even against the Royal Hawks. I feel like the what's it called? The Arrows are really underrated. So I go with a Dart Goblin here. Here he does a really good job at pressuring both lanes. He goes with Royal Hawks on the left side. He goes with Evolved Barbs on the right side plus Arrows. So we go with Wall Breakers trying to distract it. I go with Rascals as well. Knowing that the Barbarians have a lot of HP and DPS, I also decide to go with a Goblin Gang, and I know that he doesn't have arrows in Cycle, so I go with a Bandit at the bridge, I go with Barbell at the bridge as well, knowing that he doesn't have arrows in Cycle, so he barely just now cycles arrows, he goes with arrows defensively, but we got a ton of damage onto the right side, bringing down the tower all the way to 509 HP, and we're just now heading into Triple Elixir. I feel like Triple Elixir can get a little bit risky. Why? Because we don't have a big spell. Like, he can maybe try to cycle, for example, multiple flying machines. Maybe he can, try to make like a really big push. So we go with Goblin Gang here in the middle to try to DPS down the flying machine. I cycle my Barbarians from the back. He has his Evolved Barbarians, so that was kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie. Here I was like, okay, I need to watch out because he has Evolved Barbarians. He has a flying machine. I have Zeppies, and I can't really kill those troops. So he goes with Barbarians at the bridge. He still has the flying machine there. He still has the Zeppies. I go with my Barbarians plus arrows just to make sure that we don't take any damage on that lane. He goes with Royal Hawks on the right side, but as you guys can see, we have a good amount of troops on the field still. We have the Dart Goblin there, a second Dart Goblin to DPS down. We have the Rascals. In the meantime, I send another Goblin Barrel to pressure. Only 10 seconds left, so here I was like, okay, unless something crazy happens, this should be GG. And even then, I don't think he has enough time. So as you guys can see, 3, 2, 1. Royal Hawks are defended perfectly. I went with a Dart Goblin there just to make sure. And then here I was so happy because, as I said, I went 3-2, winning 5 best of 3s in a row, going 8-2, and then finishing top 13 in the world, allowing us to qualify to the second day. So that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to smack the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.